Straight to the paper, snatching makers, made I'm all in. With precision like lasers, my aims to annihilate my targets. Regardless of what you call it, is nothing less than greatness. And how I define what great is, you can't fake this. My statements, if fall on deaf ears, those with wisdom embrace it. This marathon I'm racing, consists of passion, persistence, and dedication. I faith amongst my peers, cause I appear with proper preparation. Be getting my shit together, my people need reparations. My whip need tent and leather, my tribe spread worldwide through every American ghetto. What the pot called the ghetto, for lessons of places I can't settle. Descendant of West Africans, here today to be known, I ain't having it. 5,000 handy Honda slaps in the establishment. Got them hoes scared, still look like the Million Man mannequin challenge. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Check my balance, I'm Iron Mike, you Cicely Tyson. The Lord is pure as enticing. Crazy how niggas that hate me wanna be just like me. The mind's awakening and it's the perfect timing to shine bright ideas. Tired of working 9 to 5s, you gotta grind where I live. Through the rain, sleet, snow, cheap and heavy on that dro. AC blowing snow, audio intellectual. Whoa, them niggas iffy, huh? Claim he had the blicky, huh? They got to telling you ain't gangster, just a trippy cunt. Stop letting the media mold your views of black culture. Cut off all supply to those ravenous vultures. High voltage and high power. They say you either have it or you don't, and I got this. The lockwood locksmith when we were roll wizardry. Wizard drop pussy in hell on all my enemies and all pretend to be's. Claiming they ain't feeling me. Old nigga, the blood, no loss in my genetics. Fibonacci spirals with the smoke, excellent methods. Excel beyond all limits. Frustrated deep excel on y'all niggas. Future double XL freshman. Although in my realm I'm a veteran. Seems some of y'all haven't got the message. I'm divine by design, nigga. This was destined. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream, nigga. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. The black messiah and fly attire. Heads a fly fire, get a signal, beware that a boom sit you. Flatty rap casted half-ass the raps that y'all be cheering on, I act an actual acrobat. I be flipping flows like tumbling on tile. Y'all some motherfucking lab rats, trapped in the maze in amazement at what this flavor could bring. It's that black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Motherfucker.
Peace, 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 and Black African Power. Welcome back to Kofi Piesie TV. I am Kofi Piesie. Today we have a special guest on the platform today. Our great brother Paul Scott. I'll let him introduce himself in a minute, but before we get started, I want to define what a warrior is and what a scholar is and what my perspective of what a warrior scholar is. And by the way, this brother demonstrate what a warrior scholar is, and we'll definitely talk about that in the later on within the show. But let me share my screen. Go back. All right. As I learn, we all learn. Everybody know that is my motto. That is what I live by. As I learn, we all learn. A warrior. Let's define what a warrior is. A warrior is from the old French warrior, French. I'm not even finna try to pronounce that word. Warrior, soldier, combative, one who wages war. From warrior, wage war from warrior. Warrior, a person engaged or experienced in warfare broadly. A person engaged in some struggle or conflict. Scholar, a person who attends a school or study under a teacher. Pupil, a person who has done advanced study in special fields. A learned person, a holder of a scholarship. A scholar, a person who studies a subject in great detail, especially at a university. my perspective of what a warrior scholar is. My meaning of a warrior scholar is someone who is well studied and waging war against mistruths, pseudoisms, and willing to stand on the battlefield against institutions and platforms that promote that. A warrior scholar is someone who is on a mission for the truth, for accuracy and sound information. A warrior scholar is one who has discipline, good character, morals, and is willing to fight back against those who use misinformation dangerously. All right. So, Brother Paul, man, welcome to Kofi Piesie TV, man. We're glad to have you, brother, on the platform. For those who may not know who you are, could you briefly introduce yourself?
Good evening, everybody. Minister Paul Scott, founder of the Black Messiah Movement, Durham, North Carolina, and also the founder of Bull City Griot, which is Durham, North Carolina's first free Black bookstore.
No doubt, no doubt. All right, so man, let's get into the questions, man. Brother Paul, man, these first two questions, man, are questions that I ask everybody that come on the Warrior Scholar platform. And the first question, man, is name, man, some of your favorite warrior scholars.
Written or written scholars or lecturers?
It don't matter either or.
First and foremost, I would say Steve Coakley. First and foremost, I would say Steve Coakley. He was probably the most influential as far as the way I approach research. So I would say first Steve Coakley, Dr. Shaka Musabera Shango as far as the religion goes, Dr. John Henry Clark as far as the history goes. So I would say those were my top three scholars. And I would say those are the most influential as far as my journey.
Okay. All right. So name the last book you read or a book that you are currently reading.
Last book I read, because I've been giving out so many books lately. I'm trying to think about the last book I actually read that was good. FBI's, FBEYE. And what FBI's is, it talks about how the FBI actually had a COINTELPRO program. Well, it wasn't called COINTELPRO, but it was against the literary giants like the Langston Hugheses and other people. So it's called FBI's. The author escapes me right now, but it's FBI's, EYES, and that's a very excellent book. A lot of our people know about COINTELPRO. We know about what they did to the Black Panthers. We know what they did to Malcolm and Martin. But it was really new to me and very interesting to me how they actually targeted the writers of the Harlem Renaissance.
I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. That's my first time hearing about that that book. Is it an old piece of literature, or it's old publication, or?
No, I think it's like a year old.
Okay. No, most definitely. All right, man. So, and this is another question that I always ask. This is just to get the audience a little bit more engaged of who Paul Scott is, and myself, man. I always ask, name 5 words that may explain who Paul Scott is.
Queen Mother Mae Jackson, who is a civil rights era icon, one of the early members of SNCC, she always tells me to say commitment. Commitment, faith, consciousness, culture. And in the Black Messiah movement, we have an acronym, MIRACLE. And for us, MIRACLE stands for manifesting in reality a clear living example. Manifesting in reality a clear living example. In other words, don't just talk about it, be about it.
Okay. I definitely get the commitment part of it. You definitely commitment. I've been, like I said, I really got introduced to you on the Wise to Dawn program, brother Rakim Shabazz show, and then I started going and following and looking at some of the stuff that you actually been doing in the community, man, and how long, man, you've been on the front line, man. I think you said 30 plus years or so you've been,
30
man,
years.
that's a lot. That's a long commitment, man. That's that. So when you said commitment, I definitely can see that. So Griot, and that's another thing that draw me to you, like I said, off before we went live, I consider myself a modern day Griot, and I look at you as a modern day Griot with some of the things that you are actually doing in the community, man. So what is a Griot, man, for people that may not know what is a Griot? What is a Griot? And
Okay.
why did you choose that?
Yeah, a West African term, meaning someone who really preserves the culture, teaches the culture, whether it be a poet, musician, or historian. I'm more on the historian tip. So I chose that name because I'm real big on implementation.
Mhm.
Because I know cats have read, they can quote Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Walter Rodney, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, but when it comes to implementation, have no program for the people. Real smart, can quote every book, but when it comes to implementation, no real program for the people. So my thing is, you're only as good with your information, how you implement it in the community.
Mm.
So what I came up with a concept because I've been giving out books on the street. It used to be once a week, same time, same place for 18 years. So a sister donated some classic books, like two large giant boxes of books. I said, okay, let me, instead of concentrating on one block, let me get a backpack, put the books in, and just go from hood to hood, doing mini lectures and passing out books. So that's how I came up with the whole griot. Some people say griot, some people say griot, but that's how I came up with the concept of Bull City Griot. And also, Bull City is the name that Durham is known by. Bull City, something about tobacco cigarette or something like that.
Okay. And so and that was kind of leading into my other question. What is the Bull City Griot, and what is it? Can you kind of elaborate a little bit further? Before you elaborate a little bit further, like you mentioned, the Griot, right? And you really you know take on that character, right? And the Griot, take on many roles. And I see, just following you, you take on many roles of a Griot, not just as a historian. Griot also takes on a role of a warrior, right? So I see you with, just from what I've seen and just some things that I have heard, you on the front line, you a warrior. So a Griot definitely is a warrior. A Griot is definitely an ambassador. He plays a role, she plays a role as an ambassador, right? So I definitely see you as an ambassador. Griot, is a teacher, right? And whether you say it or not, just you say you get on platforms and you do certain things on the platform, so you disseminating information to the people. So whether you think you're a teacher or not, you're actually teaching. Even with the small doc that I seen, I learned quite a few things just in those few clips, those 3 or 4 clips, as you talking. So Griot is also a teacher, and a Griot delivers, and Griot is a storyteller, so he delivers or transmit history, she transmit history, culture, and a way of life. So you demonstrate a lot of those different characteristics. A musician, you say you was a writer, what I'm saying, for hip hop. So you kind of deal with the music. So history, what I'm saying. So music can be displayed by a Griot through through music. So it was also through storytelling, was also through performance. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was through singing, whether it was through poetry, whether it was through, writing some sort, or whether it was through facial expressions or hands ejections or reenacting certain things within history. So you definitely display those certain characteristics when it comes to a Griac. And the more I begin to look at some of the things that I seen you done, and some of the stuff that Rakim said you was actually doing in the Korean, I said, man, I gotta interview this brother, man. He exemplified all these different characteristics, all these different important roles that a Griac has to its community. The Griac is also a record keeper, so it keeps records of birth, death, and marriage, and etc. So the Griot, man, is a definitely important role within West African culture, brother, man. And you definitely exemplify those characteristics of a Griot. That's why I look at you as a modern day Griot. But can you elaborate a little bit further on what the Bull City Griot, what it is, and what you actually are doing, and why it's important for what you're doing? Because I never heard of a person who's on the front line, just spending his own money or building relationships with others just to pass out books. So how important it is, well, just explain a little bit more what it is and how important it is for you to create the Bull City Griots and continue to be consistent with doing what you're doing in the community.
Well, I would say, I mean, really the books aren't that expensive. If you're actually passing out flyers in a community, you can actually get classic Black books for cheaper than your flyers, because there was a library, and there is a library in Durham. It's closed for construction now. Stanford Air Warren Library, which I believe is either the first or second Black library in North Carolina. And they used to have books for like classic books for like $1 or $2. So I would come through, get some books, and then pass them out on the street. Simple as that. So, a lot of people pass out hot dogs, people pass out hamburgers. For the price of a hot dog that you might give somebody, you can get a book. Because like I said, it's only $1 or $2. But last July, no, June, I think it was June, when the sister donated those 2 big boxes of books, and more people started donating books, because a lot of people, they have books in their personal libraries that they haven't touched in 20 years. So my thing is either give them out to yourself in the streets to people who need them, or give them to me, and I will walk down the street, hold many lectures, teach on the book, and give it out at the same time. So that's a strategy, brother. I think as far as revolutionary work, the easiest thing we can do is a free book distribution program. People come up to me, well, brother, is it free? I'm like, yeah, because everybody thinks it's a hustle, because nobody does anything for free anymore. Everything's a grifter, everything is a hustle. So I'm like, yeah. I said, well, only thing I ask, brother, sister, is the information in that book. You are now responsible for teaching that information to somebody else. So the sub movement that's actually, I call it on groundwork, is backpack griot. And that's in any community. All you got to do is get a few books, put them in a backpack, walk through the hood, and give them away. That's it.
Okay, so do you believe? And this is another question, because all right, I posted something, man, might have been about a month ago, like, and I posted a stack of books, Dr. Ben, John Henry Clark, Asa Hilliard, Sheikh Ante Diop, man, and Chancellor Williams. Just tons of books. These are books that I read early in my early development, right? And these books actually changed my life, changed my perspective, and changed my worldview. And it got a lot of hits on Facebook, and a lot of people, a lot of comments. And one person, you know, it didn't touch him right. So he said that books cannot change your life. So so do you believe by you passing these books out and sharing a little information with these books, and you've been doing this for years, giving out free books, can books change someone's life? Because someone told me that books cannot change your life. I don't understand that, but books cannot change your life. And what we do, it is just a hobby.
But see this, and I guarantee you, the brother or sister who told you that, I bet you they were starch capitalists. Because the capitalist idea, even black capitalism, the idea that everything has to circle around economics. Culture doesn't matter, knowledge doesn't matter. So anything else that they can't put a price tag on or put or a grift on, they dismiss it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that's a foolish question, not from you, but from the person who asked you that or made that statement. Of course, books change lives. How many brothers have you seen who said, well, brother, I read Autobiography of Malcolm X, or I read The Message to the Black Man, and that changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with me, I listened to Steve Kolke tape in 1992. Put me on a path. 30 years later, I'm still doing the work. I read Malcolm X speeches, the greatest speeches, and By Any Means Necessary, when they used to put his speeches together. I read those books, and those books made an impact on me. Now, some people, the brother would say, well, some people, nothing's going to impact them. You know, nothing's going to impact them. So, you know, I understand that coming from a capitalist standpoint where everything got to be about the dollar, and if it ain't about economics. But Dr. Khalid Muhammad taught us this. He said, everybody's talking about economics. He said, but if you got a dollar, the white man got a bigger dollar. But yeah, of course, books change lives, man. Everything can change lives, whether it's bad or good. Everything can change your life. I think it was Bobby Seale. Who said, if I throw a pebble in the ocean will never be exactly the same again.
Yeah. And that was one of the brother's issue was those books that I named, you know, it was circled around economics. They all died broke, you know, and that was, you know, I guess one of his reasonings why books don't change your life. And I'm misleading people by posting books. And I didn't tell anybody in the post. I just had a stack of books, and these were books that I read from front to back, and how they changed my life and they molded and shaped me. So I was letting people know that these were the books that actually changed my life. I didn't tell anybody to read these books and these books are going to change your life. But he was saying that, you know, these scholars, these black scholars that we look up to and we admire, you know, these ancestors died broke. You know, he just kept reiterating. I'm like, how can he tell me that these books did not, you know what I'm saying, change my life? But they changed my life. And now I can see in real time all the time that reading, you know what I'm saying, and that's something that has become dangerous. And this was something that you said, well, you know, we don't want to read anymore. And it was something that I was looking at the interview, and you said something about you was doing the books, you was passing out the books, then you went to doing the DVDs, you was doing the DVDs, the VH1 tapes, and etc. at you know, back then. And then when it, you know, and then when the YouTube hit, you know, everybody started turning in their books and started looking. And I think that, you know, we have created a climate where reading is not important anymore. So, and everything now we want we want it at a nanosecond, you know what I'm saying? Or we have become too lazy where we don't want to read. Reading requires work. Reading requires paying attention. Reading requires digesting and comprehending the information, you know, or reading it repetitively till you get a grasp and an understanding of what you're reading. So I believe we have become lazy and have created this atmosphere where reading is, you know, reading is not popular. Even when I was in school, That was the thing. Reading was unpopular, or being smart was was unpopular. And you were saying that people start turning their books in when the YouTube hit and people started looking at it. And I think that the YouTube thing is like a gift and a curse. And I don't know if you was going in that route where everybody wants to be on YouTube and listen rather than, listen to these so-called scholars on YouTube instead of picking up a book and reading and understanding what proper research is, you know what I'm saying, or even verifying what these individuals are saying, because a lot of these people that are on this YouTube or in these YouTube streets, as we call them, you know what I'm saying, they rather, hey, I'm not going to invest in a book. I'm not going to pick up a book, man. Who going to read? I'd rather just click on and I can go on one of these YouTube channels and listen to what somebody else is saying. And even with them doing that, they're not going back and verifying what these individuals are saying, especially if they quoting all these different books. We not going buying these books and going through these books to verify or even understand what proper research methodology is once we buy these books, so we can get a grasp of understanding and verify what these individuals are actually saying to be actually accurate or not, because they could be leading us down a wrong path and we don't even know it, man. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, but can we back up 1 second, brother? Because you hit a key point about our scholars dying broke. They might have died broke, but not broken. That's partially true, and we got to deal with that as a reality. But a lot of people die broke. A lot of musicians die broke. A lot of 9-to-5 people die broke. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't necessarily mean have anything to do with your scholarship because you died broke. But Marcus Garvey died broke. According to the book that's somewhere on my bookshelf, it's a book called Garvey's Children. Oh, there it is. That's it. It's a book called Garvey's Children. And in that book, the writer says that Garvey actually died broke in London, living with 2 white roommates. I'm not going to name the scholars because I don't want to put dirt on the name, but yeah, some of them died broke, but a lot of them didn't. I don't think Dr. Francis Cress Welsing died broke. Dr. John Henry Clark, he didn't die broke. But it doesn't have anything to do with the scholarship. It's just like a fact of life. But the thing is, do people remember your name? There's a movie called, what's it, The 300? And somebody was scared to fight, and dude said, that's why no one's going to remember your name. People aren't going to remember how much money you had in your pocket. They're going to remember what impact you made in society.
Yes, sir.
You might have, Garvey died broke, but what's he remembered for? That red, black, and green you got on your screen right now, organizing anywhere between 2 and 10, 11 million black people, depending on who you talk to. Being one of the, not the father of black nationalism, but the one who really made it relevant in action in the United States and globally. So Yeshua, the black revolutionary Messiah, who we follow, said, what profits a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? That was it. I'm sorry, the question was, bro, you asked me another question.
Oh, no. You good, man. I was just wanting you to, to kind of elaborate. Like I said, I didn't know if you was going that far when you were saying about they was turning their books in and people was, going. So I was, just saying that a lot of us, we go and on these platforms and look at these so-called scholars, but we don't go and verify what they saying by picking up the books and reading and verify exactly what they are saying. So I'm saying, I think that YouTube has become a dangerous space, and it has made us become lazy where we don't want to read. We are anti-readers now.
My rule is, even books, you got to go back and research it. A lot of times when we first come into consciousness, we get one book and that book becomes gospel. We don't weigh it against anything. So my rule is, whatever subject I'm studying, I'm going to read the pro, the con, and neutral.
Yes, that's a part of that's the part of research methodology. That's what I was speaking on. There's so many different levels when it comes to research methodology, and that's where a lot of our people fall short at. You know what I'm saying? Not understanding research methodology, and then pick up one book, and just because it's been put in black and white and published, that this book becomes gospel. It becomes law. It's no flaws or et cetera. So we definitely have to understand. I go in the back of the book. I research the authors. I
Exactly. And the
research some of the
bibliography. Yeah.
the big rough, right. So those are some of the steps, some of the steps that I take. There's other methods that I take, but those are some of the things. And then I look at when the book was published.
Right.
Okay, right. You know what I'm saying? So that may be a factor on why I disagree, why you're regurgitating certain information that may be outdated, and certain things may have happened in between times where findings may have took place, some discoveries may have took place, or some technology may have been invented where we was able to get this certain type of information that wasn't privy at the time of some of the people that we admire. So I mean, those are some of those things. So yeah, you're definitely right. You got to research those books. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand what proper research methodology is, and a lot of us do fall short of that, where we read something and then that book becomes the gospel.
Let me give you an example. Marcus Garvey. Yeah, you should read Dr. Tony Martin's Race first, which is very pro Garvey. But you should read Philosophy and Opinions, which was written by Garvey himself. But his speeches are in it. But you should also read Negro with Hats, which is a critique of Garvey. Yes. See, when you're debating, you got to have both sides. You got to read, a lot of times we reject cognitive dissonance. Yes. We reject things. Yep. But you're not going to get a full understanding of Garvey unless you read Negro with Hats. You got to read both of them. So, yeah, we got to read the pro and the con. I'll give you another example. Our group that reads the Dr. Francis Crazed, et cetera, et cetera. One of the things that people parrot is, well, you remember that time Dr. John Henry Clark whipped Dr. Mary Lefkowitz because she wrote Not Out of Africa, and they had a great debate, and Dr. Clark whipped her. And I'm like, really? That's what you got from that? See, we repeat things because we can't hold our scholars up as gods. People would say he won that debate, he whipped her. No, he really didn't even debate. He didn't even stay on subject. He was, he was an elder at the time. So, but see, and you go back, because I had to, and I'm saying that to say, as much as you might disagree with Mary Lefkowitz and Not Out of Africa, I've read it twice. Because when I'm debating a Sean Hannity, which I have about 4, 5, 6 times, when I'm debating these right wingers, you got to know the pros and the cons, because they're not going to come at you with the pro. They're going to come at you with the con. So I had to read Not Out of Africa to see where she was coming from. And the book is weak, but I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't read it.
Right, man. Right. And see that, and that's unbiased scholarship right there. We always read stuff that fit what we think or what we believe in. So you got to cross-reference. You got to read everything. You got to read the pros and you got to read the cons. But a lot of us, we want to read the pros. We want to read something that's going to fit. You know what I'm saying? So
boost the ego. Something going to boost our egos.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, and this was something that kind of blew me away, man. You was talking, man, and I want you to elaborate on this, man, because this was deep, bro. And when you said it, and I was like, damn, you right on, man. You like right on, because I instantly went to me as a young man. I'm 45 years old. I'll be 46 years old in a few months. And as a young boy, I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't have to, but I made them because I wanted to fit in. You know, these things were taught to be cool, and then peer pressure is another was another thing. And so you mentioned, man, that a lot of parents, because of their mental conditions, rather have their child or children in a gang such as a Blood, Crip, Gangster, Disciple, or than a revolutionary. Man, can you speak on that, man? That, when you said it, I said, damn, that was deep, man. That was deep, and it took me to my childhood, man. So, man, can you speak on that, man? That's crazy that you say that our parents have been mentally conditioned, that they rather have their children in a gang than being a revolutionary. Man, speak on that, man. Can you elaborate some more on that, man?
Going back to the plantation theology, we were taught, our ancestors were taught, that the white man was God, and if you oppose the white man, you were opposing God. So anybody who fought against, with exceptions of Nat Turner, who was the right Reverend Nat Turner, and others, but the common mentality was, if you fought against the white man, you were fighting against the creator of the universe himself, because you're cursed. It was God's will. And if you are speaking out against injustice, you're fighting against God. That goes back to the plantation and slavery. Also, if you look at I'm 56, my parents, grandparents, there's something called the Stagger Lee myth. Stagger Lee in folklore was known as a crazy Negro who would cut you as soon as look at you. That was the thing about Stagger Lee. What it put in our minds of our grandparents and parents, like, in order to be oppose anything, you got to be crazy. So they began to say, okay, if you are opposing white supremacy, you must be crazy. Now, later on, it became, even now you can hear people say, I'm not going to stand up for the people. I'm not going to be a revolutionary or a revolutionist. Look what they did to Malcolm. Look what they did to Martin. Look what they did to Bobby. Baba Steve Kogi said, you can get, your destiny ain't yours to control. You can duck white supremacy all your life and walk out and get hit by a bus. He also said, like I said, Steve Koch is my favorite scholar. He also said that if you did not live the life Malcolm and Martin lived in totality, what makes you think you're going to experience the death they did? So yeah, man. That's something we got to be clear on that, and that's really the genesis of now. When I talk to, actually on the street, I would talk to some of these parents, and they will get real hesitant when you're talking about a book, because one, it was illegal in North Carolina and other states in the South to teach for enslaved Africans to read. So that mentality is still there. So a lot of them, in their mind, they're like, if my child becomes a Blood or a Crip, he's still going to heaven. But if he becomes a revolutionary, he's fighting against God, so he's going to hell.
Man, that's crazy, man. That is.
But then one more thing, even the street cats I talk to sometimes, there's a myth that these street cats are automatically pro-black, fighting the system. They're going to be, when the trumpet sounds, they're going to be down for the struggle. A lot of these cats, they will say the N-word, 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 N-word. But when you start talking to them about white supremacy, the first thing they preface it with is, I'm not trying to be racist.
Yeah.
Dr. Carter G. Woodson was right in the miseducation of Negro, brother.
Yes, he was, man. And that's crazy because, the same way, like, I began to get ostracized by my family, And especially the side of my father's family, my most of them is deep in the church, deep in the church. I call them insane Christians. And I began to get ostracized and talked about and possibly disowned because I didn't talk to some of them for a while because they started to think that I was losing my mind because now my perspective has changed. I became this black revolutionary. I'm no longer thinking about myself. I'm thinking about my people and what can I do to liberate my people? What can I do to make my community better? What can I do to affect positive change? And so I started to speak on rebelling against the things that we were taught, rebelling against the government or some of the things that they have set in place, you know what I'm saying, to defranchise our people or put our people in these certain types of positions. And they began to start to think that I was crazy. And even some of my I'm a Freemason, and some of my brothers and began to do the same thing where they began to think that I'm losing my mind because I'm talking this pro-black, this pro-black rhetoric. I'm talking about rebelling against the system. I'm talking about doing something that we was already doing, affecting change, but I want to do it with my people. I want to take care of home first. We can take care of other people later, but let's take care of the black community. Let's create a black agenda to liberate our people. And they began to look at me like I was crazy. My sisters in the order, they definitely distanced themselves totally away from me because they thought that I was actually losing my mind as well, because I was talking this black revolutionary stuff. But those were, and not only just in the church or in the organization, just going back to what you're saying, mental conditioning, that we had people in the church, people in the organization that still didn't understand certain elements within the organization or within the church, and they still sold drugs, they still cheated on their wives, they still disrespected their women, but they wasn't dared called crazy, they wasn't dared distant away from. These people were still having the church people or my people in the organization was still having conversations, even though that they know this brother is cheating on his wife, even though they know this sister is cheating on his wife, even though that they know I even had brothers that was still in the gang that was claiming insane vice lords and would see them out with red rags in their pockets, but they wasn't ostracized, they wasn't called crazy, they didn't distance themselves from. But me, a brother that always been good in the community, you know what I'm saying, but changed my perspective on a lot of things. I became ostracized by my side of my father's family and ostracized or talked about by the organization that I had been and still a part of, for the last 16, 17 years old. So when you said that, I mean, it just kind of boom, it just kind of hit me. And I'm like, I can attest to that. I can see what you're saying actually in real time. And a lot of those things, like you said, it has been passed down from generation. This is something that has come off the plantation. This is plantation behavior. A lot of things that trauma that we seen on the plantation, especially when you deal with the mothers or them putting the men on display. So when the men got out of line, they will put them on display for everybody on the plantation to see. Okay, especially the mothers. The mothers will be on the front line to watch her son get castrated or beaten to death or tied to a horse and ripped apart. So a lot of these things psychologically, when we rebel against those things, that trauma we have passed down from generation to generation. So now we, especially with the mother, yes, sir. So those things, man, and trauma is real, man, and it can be passed down. So I definitely agree with what you're saying just through my studies and just me experiencing what you saying firsthand, man. I just thought that was just powerful what you said, man, that parents have been mental conditioning where they believe, that they rather have their children in a gang than be a black revolutionary, man. That is crazy.
But brother, let me say this. Yeshua, the black revolutionary Messiah, taught this. He said, a prophet goes not without honor, except in his own country, and to paraphrase, really amongst his own family. And he could do no miracles there. Everybody has been, truth tellers has been ostracized, and most time by their family members. King was ostracized when he went against the Vietnam War.
Yes.
W.E.B. Du Bois was kicked out the Boule.
Yep.
Well, it's assumed he was kicked out the Boule. It might have been the Alphas, but in his book, he said he was kicked out of the fraternity he loved, and we're assuming that was the Boule. But yeah, a lot of people have paid the price. But that's what goes. It goes with the territory. Like I said, Yeshua said, a prophet goes not without honor, except in his own country.
Yes, yes, sir. Man, speak to us a little bit, man, about the Black Messiah movement. What is the Black Messiah movement, man? And what is the Black Messiah goal?
Black Messiah movement is based what follows Yeshua, the black revolutionary Messiah. The white man named him Jesus, painted white. We know the drill. But the motto is stop waiting for a savior and be one. Stop waiting for a savior and be one. Everybody's waiting for somebody. It's not just, we talk about the church folks waiting for Jesus, but everybody's waiting on something. Some people waiting for Malcolm to come back. People waiting for Martin Luther King to come back. People wait for Tupac to come back. For real. People wait for Tupac to come back. Everybody's waiting on something. So we say, regardless, stop waiting for a savior and be one. And within the Black Messiah movement, it's Bible-based Black liberation theology, but we got 3 different degrees. First degree is the Christ degree. If you're a Christian, work on that level. If you are Hebrew Israelite, that's another degree. And if you believe the Bible esoterically, like I do, and the deeper meaning, because it's the esoteric and the exoteric. If you know that walking on water was a metaphor, part of the Red Sea was a metaphor, talking snake was a allegory, metaphor, whatever. That's the Melchizedek degree. So, but see, the thing is, it all ties together because all of that is built on action. The Christ degree deals with who is he. The second degree, the Israelite degree, or the MYD, deals with who are we. And the third degree, the Melchizedek degree, deals with who am I. What does all this mean for me? Understand the esoteric meaning. So that's the Black Messiah movement. But see, the thing is, all of it is built on work, not rhetoric, not talk, not just because you got a good memory. I read the Bible and I can quote the script. Yeah, because you got a photostatic memory. Understandeth thou what you read? Do you understand what it means with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish? That means 7, and that's the perfect completion. Do you understand that? Do you understand that walking on water does not literally mean you went out in a swimming pool and thought you could walk on water? Walking on water is that you can stay focused, walking on the trouble of the world. Do you know that when the Bible talks about a snake, it's not talking about a snake being a serpent. It's talking about the tongue of a snake that has a forked tongue, which means it can tell the lie and the truth at the same time, meaning deception. So that's what we deal with. But 99% of the work that you do in the community can be done in the Christ degree.
No doubt.
You're talking about doing the basics. Isaiah 61 verses 1-4, the basic things you should be doing as a civilized person. Looking after the poor and all this stuff. You can do all that in the Christ degree. That's why the book of Ecclesiastes teaches that something, to paraphrase, much studying worries the soul, burdens the soul, or something like that, to paraphrase. Because you can read 1,000 books, but if you're not implementing what's in one book, what's the point? You just around the water cooler trying to talk about how you smart and everybody else is dumb.
Right. You got to be, you have to become a practitioner. You know, a
And
lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, and a lot of times, brother, I think it was it Dr. John? Yeah, Dr. John Henry Clark. He taught us that the barbarians defeated the Romans because everybody else read the Roman myths, that if you even looked at a Roman soldier, you would fall dead. Dr. John Henry Clark said, well, the barbarians didn't know how to read, therefore they didn't believe the myth, therefore they took down the Roman Empire. Sometimes we can be too smart for our own good. A lot of cats have read just enough to make them paranoid. A lot of cats have read just enough to make them paranoid. They read about Malcolm, they read about Martin, and all they got from it was what happened to them. So they ain't gonna do nothing. You can't talk to them about on the phone. They think the phone's tapped. You can't meet with them in public because they think they under surveillance. And I'm like, brother, exactly what are you doing that's so important besides watching YouTube videos? I digress.
Yeah. Oh man, I got bad. One more question, Brother Paul.
Go ahead.
You pass out books. Free books. You give free books.
Yes, sir.
You very knowledgeable. You done read quite a few books in your days.
I do my best.
So man, have you published a book on your own? And if not, is that something that have crossed your mind?
Man, Professor Griff has been on me for literal 17 years to write a book. Brother, you need to write a book. Brother, I got you. Just write the book. I'm an activist first and for he does it out of love. He's like, brother, you need to write this book, brother. I'm an activist. And a lot of times being an activist, I don't have time to really write a book. I write articles. If you Google Truth Minister with an A, Paul Scott, all my hip hop stuff will come up. You Google Paul Scott, all my writings come. I will write articles, but actually to take time and compile a book, I haven't made time to do that. I'm 56 now, so the material's there. I just haven't had time to put it together because I'm growing and I'm learning. And when I actually write the book, it's going to be about application. But in all honesty, I just had a grandson, and I might just leave all my papers for him and let him write the book.
Okay. Yeah, I just had to throw it out there, man. I didn't know if you had published something or not, but yeah,
other people publish my stuff. I'm in some books, but as far as me actually compiling a book, I put together a couple of pages before, just gave it out. But as far as a book, not yet. I mean, it's basically written. I just haven't had the desire to do it. I like writing articles better because I can hit a point and I can tie an article into activism. Because I just wrote an article. Where are you from, brother?
I'm from Brookhaven, Mississippi. I'm from Mississippi.
Oh, okay. I just wrote a book about this morning at 2:00 this morning. I was up writing an article about. You ever watch the Andy Griffith show?
Yeah, I used to watch it as a little boy.
Yeah, that's my latest article. Straight out of Mayberry and it's dealing with was Andy Griffith a racist, and that's just dealing with some of that crazy legislation we got in North Carolina. How they're trying to ban Black history in North Carolina. How they're trying to make laws easier for your child to get kicked out of school. How you can't really protest anymore. All this is happening in real time.
Yes, that's happening everywhere, man.
That's why I like writing articles, because I can deal with stuff in real time and mobilize and organize and challenge people in real time. But yeah, but don't get me wrong. I read, I read all kinds of books. I love books, And you know, the books come either through me or my grandson. It'll be the
Yeah.
work ain't going nowhere.
And you said if anybody wanted to get access to read the articles, Minister Paul Scott.
I mean, you can Google Minister Paul Scott or Truth Minister, MINISTA. You know, all my stuff is on Google. So if you want to read my stuff, just Google me.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out, man, and see what you got. When you gonna put that other article that you said you was up this morning, right?
I'm gonna put it. That's a good point. I'm gonna put it on my website this afternoon. BlackMessiahMovement.com. All my social media is under BlackMessiahMovement.com. It's going to be posted on my Facebook page, Black Messiah Movement. So all my social media is under Black Messiah Movement, except for Twitter. That's under Truth Minister with an A. Okay. So you'll find it on one of my media sites.
All right, and what's the name of that article again? Straight out of Mayberry, what is?
Yeah, straight out of Mayberry.
Straight out of Mayberry.
Yeah, kind of like straight out of Compton. I flipped it.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely check it out, man, and read it, man. Just hit me up, man, in Facebook Messenger or something, man. Let me know, man, that it's out. I definitely want to check it out and read it, man.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, most definitely, man. I appreciate, man, you coming on the platform. Like I said, I was gonna try to be on time, and we on time. You know, we hitting the hour mark. We about 3 minutes from it being an hour, man. But I definitely appreciate, man, you coming on the platform. You could have been doing anything else with your time, man. I asked, and you said no problem, man, to jump on. And I've been waiting to interview. Like I said, anybody that has, that has the spirit of a griot, man. I mean, I got a special place for him, man, and I see exactly what you're doing, man. I hope you continue to keep up the work, man. You already gave out all your handles where people can reach you. Do you got anything else, man, that you may have coming up pretty soon here, man, in a couple of weeks, in a few months that you want people to be looking out for?
Yeah, but I got to connect with you, brother, because I've been studying what's going on in Mississippi. Like I said, we're dealing with the same issues that you all are dealing with in Mississippi, so we got to connect. But no, just follow me on social media, and it's been an honor, my brother. No problem at all. Anytime you need me, just holler. I'd be glad to be with you. But I always leave people with the Black Messiah motto: stop waiting for a savior and be one. Shalom.
For sure, man. And with that, man, y'all, appreciate everybody, man, that tuned in to the show. I want to say peace and Black African power. Man, y'all have a good day, man. And we'll be seeing y'all pretty soon, man. We out of here.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right. Peace.
It's over. Yeah. Over 50, man. You know it. It's so. Shout out to United Front. Yeah. Hey. Cognitive dissonance, colonized indigenous minds, bodies, innocence, European participants, Jesus no deliverance, rebellion with militants, culturally different, rape, murder incidents, justice no equivalence, lyrical abolitionists, ancestral reverence, soul music the resonance, mind sharp like elephants, melanin glow, elegance, imperial pestilence, governmental negligence, miracle black excellence, manipulate the elements, formulate with eloquence, bars of social relevance, United Snakes decadence, African-centered preference, my people set the precedence, MCE the delegates, go and check the references, eat it out the sediment, evaporate impediments, this that shit excrement, our story indefinite, saying cover by increments, body temple instrument tuned into the infinite, over.